been thinking. I've been praying about what's going on in the Middle East right now. The adage is, as Christians, we're always praying for peace in the Middle East. We've been doing that for decades. But in this, and of course, conflicts erupt and whatnot. But I was thinking this morning as I was praying, and I was thinking, I gave my, as all these videos are, my opinions, my life experiences. I'm not a professional by no stretch of the imagination. No, what I mean professional, a professional news person, or by any means a subject matter expert in necessarily anything that I'm speaking about. But and I'm not saying I'm necessarily not. I have a degree in political science and international relations, so I do have some knowledge, but I'm not claiming to be any subject matter expert at all. But I was praying about it this morning, and I was asking the Lord. I was like, because I know there's some fracturing amongst the conservatives in whether we fully support Israel no matter what they do, or do we support Israel at all. And again, I don't think it has anything to do with the people. It has everything to do with the government. And so there are some that believe that, the government of Israel is something we should support. That Israel started this, which they did. They did, of course. They're the ones that shot first. That's obvious. Their view would be they needed to. Okay, I can't argue for or against that because I'm not there. I don't know what intelligence they may or may not have, or what we gave them, for that matter. And so, they're looking at, they look at Israel as the bad guy. They look at Israel as the one that's keeping us in the mix of all that's going on in the Middle East, and that we should be supporting Israel, and that we're being used by Israel, and that their lobby here in the United States is entirely too powerful, which I agree it is. I am not a fan of foreign lobbies. I'm not. We should get rid of all of them. No foreign country should be trying to lobby our congressmen and senators, for nothing. So I agree we should get rid of all the foreign nation lobbies. Israel's probably being the largest of the bunch, because you lump it in with the Jewish population that we have here. Again, I have nothing against the Jewish religion or the Jewish people. All that, they can do what they want, worship what they worship in any way they see fit, and live their lives like everybody else. No issues, no problems. I'm just talking about the government. Because again, even the people of Iran, from what I've seen, have no issue with us per se, the common American. It's always the governments. It's always the governments. It's not the common people. It's always the governments. So I asked the Lord. I said, Lord, I'm kind of confused and conflicted on where I should, quote unquote, stand. Because right now I'm kind of, I understand both sides. At least of the conservative movement, I understand both sides. I don't agree necessarily with everything on both sides, but I understand it. And I understand the mess that Israel finds itself in, where it's, geographically located. I understand that. The history behind the whole thing. The Gaza situation. It just seems there's a lack of reconciliation the Palestinians talk about, well, this land was originally ours. No, it wasn't. It may or may have not been originally yours or not, but that area of Judea, Israel, has been conquered by many, many cultures. So to claim that it's yours is ridiculous. Cultures come, they conquer, they occupy. Sometimes they get conquered and somebody else occupies, and so on. That's just the way history is. Okay. So it's a real touchy, kind of very convoluted subject, and I'm not here to delve into that. All I'm saying is that I'm a little confused on where the Lord would want us as saints to stand. I am not for just blanket support of a nation just because they're Jewish. That's ridiculous. There's a lot of Christians that don't support the United States of America, even though we're quote unquote a Christian nation, foundationally at least. And that's fine. I wouldn't expect anyone just to blindly support something just because they're Jewish, and we all should feel bad for the Jewish and we should all support the Jewish. No, I'm not saying that at all. Again, I don't have nothing against the people or the religion. Let them, you live your life and you do what you do. Cool. I'm not a follower of Judaism, so that's fine. I have nothing against it. People do what they do. People do what they do. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. People are grown and they're going to do what they want to do. And in this country, you have a right to do that. And I don't know if Israel's the same way, but you probably have a right to be a Christian in Israel if you wanted to be. Possibly even a Muslim. I mean, there are Muslims that are in Israel, but I don't know if they stay in Israel. They come, they work, and whatnot. But nevertheless, I just found myself a little confused because of all the stuff in social media is negative. Almost none of it is positive. Almost none of it is trying to find a peaceful solution. Everybody's talking World War III. Everybody's talking conspiracy theories. Everybody's talking all these things, and nobody is offering peaceful solutions. Nobody. We know that the president tried to get Iran to accept a deal. He gave them 60 days. It didn't work out. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. Iran was probably stubborn. Iran didn't want to give up its leverage, which from a purely sovereign country perspective, okay, I get it. But that government is not only hostile to Israel, it's hostile to us. So obviously we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. I have no disagreement with that. President Trump's initial approach, trying to make a deal, trying to do it that way, I fully support. And that was one of his campaign promises. I'm not here to get us into any wars. Well, if you listen to social media, it seems like he may renege on that. But we don't know. I'm not in the president's mind. I don't know what his plan is. I know that a lot of the things he says and does is not only for show, but it's part of making a deal. I've learned, that President Trump does a lot of these things. Some of them can be irritating, even bordering outlandish and whatnot, but he does it purposely for a reason. And so whether you agree with his style or not, in a lot of cases it works. Not in every case, because failure is part of life. But it's, it may all just be a ploy. it just may all be a way to get people to come back to the negotiating table. Supposedly Iran's ready to negotiate. Who knows? Who knows? Who can you believe these days? So if that's the case, and I hope it's the case, then good, let's do it. I understand President Trump might not be in the mood because Iran hasn't shown themselves open to serious negotiation, obviously, after 60 days. And they're unwilling to give up their leverage, which I get to a point. So, this whole thing is about Israel thinking that Iran was a lot closer than I guess either us or the UN thought, or maybe we knew and we were just being told whatever, who knows. But, and so they felt they had to strike. Again, as a sovereign nation thing, I get it. I get that they felt they needed to do what they had to do. Okay, whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. They chose to do what they did. They will, they have to be accountable for their actions. Do I believe we knew about it? Yeah, we knew about it. Do I believe we give them intelligence? Yes, of course. Us and Mossad share intelligence all the time. Same with the UK. Some of our closest allies, we share intelligence all the time. So, did we know about it? Yeah, I'm sure they told us they were going to do it. Did we probably give them, the green light to do it? Probably. Were we going to get our hands dirty? No. So, I think, this is just me thinking now, I think that Israel understands that we don't necessarily want to get involved in it, even though we could. So they're being quote unquote the bully or the scapegoat, and they're like, well, we don't have a problem doing it, so we're just going to go in and do it because it definitely meets our interests to do it. So they just went in and do it, and we know the Israeli military is very professional, highly trained. So this was, and as I stated in my last video, it was an operation that almost went to perfection. It was very well coordinated and very well done, as was the Ukrainian attack, those drone attacks in Russia. Very well done and very well coordinated, even though the Ukrainian military is nowhere near at the level of the Israeli military. But give credit to where credit is due. Give folks their flowers while they yet can still smell them. So, I'm just conflicted. We obviously support the people and the religion, allowing them to do whatever they feel they want to do, because as free societies, that's what we should be promoting. I don't believe we should just support Israel because they're Israel, or because they're one of, if not the most, one of the, and not just because they're one of the or the most persecuted cultures in world history. Okay, that doesn't mean I need to support them just because of that. Just because they are doesn't necessarily mean their government is doing the right thing. Just like our government wasn't doing the right thing for the last 4 years. It doesn't mean the people are bad. It just means that the government is not doing right by the people. That's all that is. We were guilty of it for the last 4 years, for sure. And the Israeli government may be guilty of it. The Netanyahu government may be, they may be going after their own interests and not necessarily the people's interest. And just because they're Jewish and I'm a Christian, does that automatically mean that I have to support them just because they're Jewish? No. One, I'm not a follower of Judaism. Why? So why would I support them wholeheartedly when I'm not a follower of them, and they probably don't support Christianity wholeheartedly, even though we have the same roots. Well, all of us do. Us, the Muslims, and the Islam and Judaism all have the same origins. We all come from the same foundation. But we just don't believe in each other's, particulars. And that's just putting it simply. And that's fine. That doesn't mean you can't, follow Judaism. By all means, do your thing. Just because I don't follow it doesn't mean you should. And vice versa. There are some things that I don't agree with Judaism, some things I don't agree with Islam, and there are some things they don't agree with us in Christianity. It is what it is. What I'm talking about is strictly the government and what they're doing. Should we just be blindly supporting Israel just because they're Israel? Should we continue to support them for what happened way back in World War II, which was horrific and horrible? But should we still continue to blindly support Israel just because of the Holocaust? Should we just blindly support Israel because they were God's chosen people? Just a question. Just throwing it out there. These are things that I struggle with, because even when I go to church and to national meetings, everybody is pretty much lockstep in supporting Judaism and the Jewish state and whatnot, because they were God's chosen people, and so we should just that's it. That there is no just blindly. No, you shouldn't do anything blindly. Even as followers of Christ, we don't follow Christ blindly. We follow Christ because His Word not only tells us we should, but it gives us the reasons why we should and the benefits of doing so. We just don't do anything blindly. Though initially giving your life to Christ, I guess, I take that back. I guess when you initially give your life to Christ, it is kind of like it's kind of like following God blindly, because you're going into it brand new. But even then, are you really doing it blindly? Either God has touched you, has given a word to you, somebody has come across your path, somebody is ministered to you. So it's really not blindly per se. But in one aspect it kind of is, because you're following God whom you've never seen, but you believe by faith that He's going to do everything that He said He's going to do in the Bible. So I guess initially you could say it's blind. But then once you give your life to Christ, and once you've accepted salvation, it's not blind faith anymore. You understand why you're doing it. So let me rephrase that and say that as a government, we shouldn't blindly be following another government, because we don't know for sure if that particular government has the best interest of their people. And that's in any government. So this is my conflict and my concern of where I should stand. Again, I have nothing against the Jewish people or Judaism at all. I'm not a follower of Judaism. Everybody has a right to do what they want to do and worship whomever they want to, whether I agree with it or not. That's the great thing about republics, and free societies. I'm not going to say democracies, because we really truly don't have any democracies, because democracies are really not what we have. We have republic style governments for the most part. even the United States of America is not a democracy. We use that word and coin it for ourselves, but we don't even have a democracy in this country. We're a federal republic. It's a difference. And I hate it when people do that. We're the corner, like we're cornering the market. No, we didn't invent it. So, yeah, I just think that it's just something that bothers me a little bit, especially, now with all this stuff going on. And as a registered independent, but I mainly vote conservative for the most part. It's sad to see all the conservative movement as a whole starting to fracture a little bit, and that could be media driven, social media driven. It could all be fake. Who knows these days? Who knows? Almost you can almost believe nothing these days. But it's just one of these things where you just don't know where you should stand. So for me, I'm just as I praying this morning, I just asked the Lord. I said, look, we're just praying for peace. And I know that's an overused statement, and everybody says it all the time. But I'm just like, look, we just want peace, right? We understand that conflicts come, conflicts go, and things happen. Human beings are what they are, human beings. And we don't always do the right thing or the common sense thing. The world out there is a rough place and an evil place. And a lot of times we as human beings get caught up in that. And again, I'm not saying Israel doesn't have a right to do what it feels it needs to do for protecting their citizens. That's fine. But you just have to understand, anything that you do in this life, you have to be accountable for. And Israel has to be accountable for what it does. It shouldn't just get a pass just because they're Israel. No country should. Even if it's a righteous cause, you have to be accountable for that. Not everybody's going to agree with your cause. And that's okay. Because in the end, you're doing what you think is right for your people. And I respect that. Israel is one of the best countries that does that. They don't care. They feel they're doing what's right for their citizens. Even though we don't know if what they're doing is right for their citizens. We'll never know for sure, unless you're in the Israeli government. And it seems that the Israeli people have no issues with it. Okay. Even if we have issues, it's fine. Even allies don't agree all the time. In fact, I'd find it weird if we did agree all the time. Because we're two different cultures. We're two different types of, traditions and all kinds of different things that we do. We don't, we don't always agree. And that's okay. So I'm just a little conflicted, a little confused by the whole thing. We know God is not the author of confusion. So I was just asking the Lord, I said, Lord, where as saints should we stand? We obviously don't want conflict. That's obvious. We obviously want peace. That's obvious. But where should we stand? Are we supposed to blindly follow the Israelis no matter what they do because they're quote unquote God's chosen people? Or should we do like everybody else? That we just don't follow people just to follow people, but we follow people who are of the same mindset and the same thinking that we have. That we believe that the nation of Israel is to be supported because of I don't even know how to put this, but I guess for me, again, it's all about the government, and it's not about the people or the religion that they practice. It really isn't. It's about the people. about the government. And that's where my confusion lies, and that's where my concerns lie. Not with the people and not with Judaism. Practice what you practice. Most common people around the world don't hate other common people around the world. All we're trying to do is live our lives the best way we can. That's all we're trying to do. We're all trying to support our families, keep a roof over our head, do all those basic needs that common people do. That's all we're trying to do. It's always the governments that are pushing us into these things and putting us in positions that we don't want to be in. So I just came on here to kind of vent a little bit. If you have a comment, leave it down below. As always, of course, be respectful. You may not agree with what's going on in Israel. You may be a supporter of Iran, and that's fine. That's your choice. I'm obviously not a supporter of the Iranian government, obviously. I'm not a supporter of them having a nuclear weapon, obviously. But I have nothing against the people, nothing against Islam. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. They have a right to practice their religion. It's not an issue. You know what I'm saying? That do your thing. But I guess I'm just trying to find out where, as saints, we should stand when it comes to the Israeli government. And are some of these people that saying that Israel's really the bad guy, we're being hoodwinked this whole time for the last 40, 50 years? Are they in the right, or is us fully supporting Israel regardless the right thing to do? I don't know. It's a real tough situation. They are an ally, so we do need to support them because they're an ally. Because that's what allies do. But I don't know. I'll just leave it there. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you like my content, share it. Let somebody else know about it. They might get something out of it. Again, what I talk about, my opinions, my experience. By no means am I a subject matter expert on the Middle East. There are plenty of people that get paid that are subject matter experts that know a whole lot more than I do. I'm just looking at it from my little old perspective. That's all. So again, I appreciate each and every one, every comment, every like, every subscriber. I appreciate every one of you. And I thank you all for your time, for taking the time to even like and subscribe and listen and whatnot. It's very much appreciated. So until next time, God bless you.